You have no form of business doing at an F1 visa interview if you know clearly that you didn't get any form of funding, whether from the school or from any individual or group or company, and you have to cough out over $20,000 for that academic purpose. Trust me, you will be denied your visa. And I'm going to be explaining that to you in this video. I meant every single thing that I said in that intro video, that do not waste your time. Do not waste my time, because I know eventually you'll come back into my DMs and tell me what transpired when you went for your interview. Do not waste your family's time. Don't tell your family that I have a visa interview, so I need you to pray for me, wish me the best of luck. Please, let's not waste anyone's time. You get it? And that's because of the list of factors that I'm going to be explaining to you today in this video. The whole idea is to draw your attention to the probable causes of denials when we go for a visa interview. And we always say, oh, it's a cliche, it's a generic thing. Oh, they just didn't want to give me the visa. That's not true. It's not that they didn't want to give you the visa. It's because you didn't come with enough evidence, with enough reason to travel to the States. Because I mean, it's a country that they need to also protect their sovereignty. It's a country that they need to protect the people who come in there. So they need to be sure of who is coming there, what purpose of which they are coming in there. And I think it's done across board. Every country does that. Whether you're a third world country or you're a first world country, at least there's some prior information about you before you get into that country. So I want you to be considerate even before you go there. You should be able to take all the boxes. You should be able to answer all the questions even before you get to your visa interview. And today we're talking about good funding. If you have been given admission into a school and you do not have scholarship of no sort, you've not been given scholarship for your tuition, for your accommodation, for, I mean, maybe you joining the sports team, whatsoever. If you've not been given any sponsorship or scholarship by the school that you're going, and you have to pay or cough out over $15,000, please don't try this interview, especially if you're coming from Africa, especially from Ghana. That's where I'm from, so I can talk precisely for Ghana. And that's because these are the factors that they look at, and I'll just be highlighting them. Let's start off with what an F1 visa is. I know a lot of you guys know what an F1 visa is. If you want to travel to the States for educational purposes, as in if you want to pursue your undergraduate studies, your postgraduate studies, your doctorate studies, amongst other things, and you want to do it in the US, the kind of visa that you apply for is an F1 visa. So I'm sure you know the nitty-gritties of it, what it entails. You need to have the school to give you admission. You have to pay your service fee. That's a video I did recently, and the video that's playing actually right now in the background is a video of how to pay your service fee using Western Union. Anywhere you find yourself, you will know that you need to get an I-20 approval from the school. That is what is going to be used to track you by the USCIS when you get into the States, and amongst other things. Now, the major part of your visa interview for someone who is interviewing for an F1 visa, which cuts across, is your funding. Because you're telling the US consular that you're traveling to pursue education, and well, that's fine. I mean, everybody is privileged to pursue education. You have to explain to the consular that you are going for education purposes, but they want to know that you can take care of yourself whilst you travel to the States to pursue your education, because you need to pay your school fees, you need to pay your tuition, you need to pay or find accommodation for yourself, you need to have, pocket money, because there are things you buy. You need to have money for groceries or food, general stuff, so the consular is expected to at least have a fair idea of how you're going to cope when you travel to the States, especially because you're an international student. So they try to ascertain how you're funding your program. And that's the underlying thing that they mostly look out for. Because if there are issues of home ties, which is key. I mean, if you're married in your country of abode, if you have a good company that you're working with, if you're paid, your salary is good back at home, and all of that, they look at all of those things. But the key thing to these consulars is, can you afford? Can he pay his school fees? Is he not going to be a bedding and will drop out of school because he's not finding the money to pay? So how much are we talking about here? That's why bank statements come to play. People showing proof that they have funds to pay their school fees, or if they have scholarships, they show their scholarships to tell the consulate to convince them that I have scholarship and so I can cater for all these needs. If you have someone sponsoring you, it could be a family member, it could be someone special in your life who wants to sponsor your education. It's all accepted. But like how I said, because it's a struggle for people who are on the F1 visas to work and get enough money to pay for their school fees and to cater for themselves. The consular must gatekeep the people coming in there. You get it? So the major thing that will be asked is your funding, your funding, your funding. And I'm going to tell you a story of my friend who recently went and was denied, as we call it, bounced back in Ghana. So he has a good job. If I say he has a good job, he's being paid, at least his full-time job pays him not less than 10,000 Ghana cedis. That is his gross salary. And he has a place of abode, as in he has a house of which he doesn't pay rent to anyone. He has his car, he has his own business, he's into farming or agriculture. He also he's also into livestock, and so he has his own businesses. At least I know he has two businesses. He also does events, and like he's been hosting events over the period, you know. So he's a well-to-do young man who is in his late 20s. At least he's very agile, he can work. But this guy has everything that would let you qualify him to have his visa accepted, because his company is a good company that he works with. It's an enviable company that everyone or anyone in Ghana would want to work with. I mean, if you're being paid over 10,000 Ghana cedis, that's a lot of money. Also, his other business is raking not less than 5,000 cedis every month. So let's say his gross salary or money that he's making is like 15,000 cedis every month. And he's a young boy, he doesn't have responsibilities as much as married people have, so he doesn't spend as much as you think he will spend. He could save like 10,000 every month. So this guy's bank statement is good. I mean, it's heavy, and this is a real thing. He's not faked it. But when he told me that he has gotten admission into a school in the States, I asked him, how much scholarship is he getting? That was the first thing. And he told me it's a zero scholarship program. And I'm like, how much is the school fees? And he tells me he's supposed to pay over $35,000 for a 1-year course. How are you going to pay? That was the first thing that came to mind. How are you going to fund it? And he tells me, oh, he has enough money in his coffers, and also he has, I mean, his relatives willing to support him. His relatives also are doing well in the society. So they decided to help him out. But how do you prove that to the interviewer? How do you tell the consular that truly or truthfully I'm going to school and that these people are willing and ready to sponsor me? Why are they even going to sponsor you? All would have to come under this. Now, unfortunately, he couldn't justify and to confirm that truly his sister or his relatives were going to take care of him once he goes. So they asked him how he's going to fund it. He says, well, he has some money in his account, which is amounting to like some $8,000 or $10,000, I guess. And he says that he also has his relative who is a medical doctor who is trying to support him in his education. I mean, that's brilliant. But the question is, with a relative who lives in Ghana, who lives with a minimum wage of like 15 cedis, which is like less than $1 or $1, be willing to sponsor his her brother or her relative with over $20,000, let's just say, in a year. Because $35,000 is like the whole year's salary for someone in the US. I mean, those who do meals and other jobs, menial jobs in the States, that is how much they are raking in. And that's a whole year amount. So that means it's very unlikely that your relative would be able to cough out that amount. Even if they have that money sitting in their bank account, they'll rather use it for investment. You know, all these probabilities come to play. And so he was denied. And when he came out, he spoke to me. I was like, well, I expected it. But he was like, oh, this is very generic. They just don't want you to go. It's not true. It's because you cannot prove that you can get good funding. And that's why I told him, and I'm telling you, that if you don't have scholarship and your fees is like maybe $5,000, $10,000, you can still go for the interview because you can't get it. But if you have to cough out over $15,000, trust me, it's so hard for them to believe that you can do that, because we've seen people come to the States and they have to drop out of school because they can't afford it. I mean, if even regular people who are residents are struggling to survive, how much more you a student coughing out that amount? That's why people get to be in debts as time goes on, because they need to find loans to pay their school fees and all of that. Funding, or specifically getting scholarship for your F1 visa, even before you go for the interview, it's good and it cannot be underestimated. And I had to re-emphasize this because a lot of people still do this mistake. They still go for the interviews and then they lose out. You don't need to go for the interview. Don't stress yourself. Rather prepare, make sure you have good funding. You can apply to these community colleges. They don't have a very high tuition for you to pay. Mostly you can get scholarships. You can try and get scholarships by getting in touch with the school. You ask them, once you get admission, you can ask them if they don't, if it doesn't come with scholarship, you write to them, you mail them that you want a scholarship. How well can they help you? Maybe they can tell you that with your grades, they are not too sure they can sponsor you, or maybe they have this availability of sponsorship there. There are people who also have sponsorship from joining or partaking in extra curriculum activities. You can also do that, maybe arts, dance, sports. You can do all these things for them. They will be willing to sponsor you. There are schools like that. You need to look out for sponsorship or scholarships, because trust me, if you don't have scholarship, it will take just God for him to intervene and have your visa approved. But on paper, you are destined to lose out. I know that is very hurting, but if you're watching this video and you have an interview to go, I mean, once you booked for your interview, go, please go. But I would have wished that you prepare yourself well so that you do not go and make a mess there, so that subsequently it will take a toll on your probability or chances of getting your visa approved. Because remember that once you were denied the first time, the next time you come, like there's some sort of precedence, so they know whom is there, what happened in his previous interviews, and they can use that to judge whether or not you want to go for to the US for a good reason. So please be particular about this. I know that it's harsh, it's blunt, but yeah, that's the truth. I had to tell you. I hope that this video has helped you so much, but please, if you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do subscribe. I have very informative discussions there that I put out there. I try to make sure that I tackle every topic that I can do, and I told you I'm back with a bang, so at least we're trying to do things well. But thank you again, and if you've not subscribed, please do subscribe. My name again is Kweku Ediomansa. Remember that I am not an expert in this field. I am not a counselor. I'm just sharing my opinions and experiences. Mostly I talk to people, so I hear stories that are workable enough and I think would go a long way to helping you.